What's up, guys? You already know it is time for another field trip, and today we are at Piney Mountain Market in Travelers Rest, South Carolina. A lot of people today want to get into the homesteading lifestyle. They're kind of looking for the promise of a slower pace of life, more self-sufficiency. Well, today we're actually going to talk to the owner of Piney Mountain and get an idea of what it actually takes to walk down that road. They have some really cool things to show us here on their homestead, and then they actually have a really cool farm store that we're going to get into in a part 2 of this video. So make sure you stick around. We're going to hear the rewards of doing this, some of the crazy challenges, and everything in between. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to keep up with future content like this, and let's get into it.
Our HOA director told us we had to get rid of our camper. We were kind of left with either get rid of it or find somewhere else to move. And so we found this 20-acre lot, and then July 2021, we officially moved into the house. It was just a perfect situation. A large time of my life, I didn't take risks. We've gone into the unknown, and it's been so worth it every time. This was not the right time to get chickens, for one. I walked out there with my daughter and I said, hey, go back home. Feathers everywhere. We had so many things, electrical issues, plumbing issues, roofing issues. We didn't feel completely settled. You'll see it takes 6, 7, 8 years. We call on neighbors, we call on friends. I'm gonna be self-sustainable. It's not really realistic. Hey, we've got a baby calf. She's 3 days old. What do you want to do?
What's up, man? What's going on?
Hi, how you doing, Riley?
I'm doing great. This is Matt, right?
Yeah.
Matt. And who are these guys?
This is Luna, and this is Noki.
Luna and Loki?
Noki.
Noki.
Like the Italian pasta.
Oh my goodness, guys. These dogs are big, and they're not super fans of this camera, so I don't want to freak them out.
Yeah, there are livestock guardian dogs. They're Maremas. They're about 2 years old, so they're just getting out of their puppy stage.
Nice. All right, guys, and Rachel, Matt's wife, just joined us. Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
I was kind of telling everybody in the intro there that, you know, you're a homesteader that is in process of making the transition. And so we're excited to get into it and kind of hear about your story, your vision, what you came from, where you're at and where you're going.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'll follow your lead.
All right, let's do it.
Sweet. Matt, where were you guys? Like what were you doing before y'all found this land and kind of started this whole process?
So before we bought the farm, we were in a 1/4 of an acre HOA community doing the typical neighborhood thing. We had our 2 kids. They were just turned 2 and just turned 4, and we had bought a camper. So this was 2020.
Oh, nice.
We had wanted land, but we had just paid our house off in that neighborhood. We knew we didn't want to stay forever, but we were in a very comfortable situation in an uncomfortable time with COVID. So
yeah.
we bought a camper. So I learned how to drive a big camper around, how to parallel park, all that reverse and stuff. I think it was probably less than 2 or 3 weeks in, our HOA director told us we had to get rid of our camper. We weren't allowed to have a beautiful creature like that. And so we were kind of left with either get rid of it or find somewhere else to move. And we found it was a perfect time to, you would know as a realtor, to buy land where the rates were and to buy a home as well. So prices were low on land and rates were, close to 3%, if not lower.
Oh yeah. Man, if I could go back in time, I would try to buy every piece of real estate I could.
Oh yeah. So that was 5 years ago or so. We found this 20-acre lot with 2 houses on it with some friends. And so we split the acreage. It was kind of already split up in itself. And then they bought a house down here. We bought the house up there. They have horse stables. We have a horse barn. And so from there, they renovated their house. We did a little longer of a renovation for our house. And then July 2021, we officially moved into the house. Quite the renovation.
So really, you kind of owe all this to a terrible HOA who didn't want you to have a camper.
Yes, and
that's amazing.
Ironically, she's one of our best customers now at the farm store. So she still lives in that neighborhood. But yeah, I would, lived in my neighborhood, a neighborhood my whole life. just 7-8 minutes away.
Okay.
And so I think deep down, we really wanted our own space. It was just a perfect situation. We were able to split the already affordable property with some good friends and bought that quick and then renovated soon after.
Man, that's cool. So, okay, so you got 20 acres now, and you were living in a small HOA neighborhood. What were you doing for work at the time?
So I worked for a technology company. They did a lot of meeting room type of products. So a lot of screen sharing, projectors, LED, all sorts of stuff that you would do when you're not in COVID, when you're not in a pandemic. And so that was part of the risk too. You know, we were at a point where we had no debt, but we also had nothing that really made us excited, you know, to wake up that day. And so it was a risky point because I wasn't making commission. I wasn't making, you know, hitting the sales numbers. People were quitting or getting let go left and right. So I took a risk. And I think that's kind of the next part of our story of we finished the renovation. That company had a pretty decent sized layoff that I was a part of. And so that pushed me to start thinking, how can I get out of corporate and back into, you know, just working for myself, which was, you know, whole different beast that I wasn't familiar with.
So I'm curious, before the HOA fiasco and all of that, did you guys have did you already have a longing for this lifestyle? Were you kind of more normie when it, you know, or did you kind of like already been introduced to the homesteading world and you were longing for it? Like where were you at in that spectrum?
I think it's a mix. So I grew up, you know, I'm half Colombian, I'm half Greek. So I grew up going to Colombia where everywhere is farmland. And there's, you know, if you're not on a farm, there's still cows on the road and there's livestock type of thing. And so I grew up knowing and going to farms, but knowing that I wanted something hands-on, something that would bring me fulfillment that way. But I think another part of it was the trend. You know, we were all stuck in our homes during COVID, and it was the trend to do something different, whether you're in an HOA or not, but get chickens and do something that gets you out of the house and something that produces something that you're creating something type of thing for the better. So I think it was a mix of that and the unknown too. I think I grew up a large time of my life, I didn't take risks. And so I think getting the camper was a risk during the pandemic with my job situation. And I don't know, it's just made us better and stronger. So we've been married for 10 years. And that was the first 5 years of my life was just being, you know, as safe and careful as possible. Sure. And then moving to the latter part now where we've taken these risks and we've gone into the unknown, and it's been so worth it every time. Man, that's super cool. You know, when it comes to transitioning this lifestyle, is like at some point you're going to have to take a risk because it's hard to, you know, if society at large is doing one thing and you want to go a different direction, it's not going to be something that's easy. It's going to be something a little bit scary, a little bit intimidating. And I kind of find that when I talk to people and, you know, that do homesteading and stuff like that, is there always comes like this point where they kind of had to take a leap of faith and not really knowing what was going to be on the other side of that. Yeah, it's not for everyone, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Man, this is beautiful. Where are we at right now?
This is our creek. So this farm used to be called Twin Creek Farms. There's a pond up there that has a creek, and then this creek comes from a natural spring, and they both combine into one larger creek. So this, for a long time during our renovation, during the hard part of just moving here, this was more of my sanctuary spot, just my safe haven where it's quiet. You know, we live close to a busy road. We can get a little more into that later, but this is a spot where it's quiet. Noki would come down here and just hang out with me, and I could just sit in silence after a long day of work and after just, you know, just the stress of the day of just trying to figure out what our next step was here. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, this is definitely a sanctuary looking spot. I mean, I don't know if it's coming through on camera, but you got the sun just shining through. It's like coming closer to the late afternoon, evening. Super pretty creek, just kind of meandering. Man, this is awesome. And then you said up there was part of the land that you ended up selling to a friend of yours? Is that right? We bought it together. So the land came in 3 different plots. So a 9-acre, a 10-acre, and then another acre lot. Basically, to buy this, we had to buy it all in cash, all at once. Woo. And so neither family had those type of funds. And so the way we had to work it out is, yeah, we had to go all in. The lady didn't want to sub-parcel it for tax reasons. And so she sold it all together. And it was perfect. We have a great relationship with our friends down here, you know, healthy boundaries, that type of thing.
Sure.
So they've got the 9 acres here. We have the 11 over here. They've got so many cool things going on. You should interview them at some point. They're
That would be cool, yeah.
flower farming. You know, they've got the ducks, the chickens, the dogs, the cats, that type of stuff. But yeah, beautiful farm. Ours is more focused on the livestock, the rotational grazing. The dogs are here to protect the chickens, protect the sheep and cows. Yeah. Yeah, sort of. He's just getting there.
He was trying to nibble my little note paper.
Yes.
I'm curious, you know, whenever you first bought the land and you were kind of getting everything going, what did the early days look like? Like what was it like, let's say, you know, 30 days after closing? What was life like?
So 30 days after closing, I had the bright idea of getting chickens. I think we bought 6 or 7. Within 5 or 6 days, I learned quick. I walked out there with my daughter and I said, hey, go back home. Feathers everywhere, just chickens everywhere. Small chickens too. This was not the right time to get chickens, for one. And 2, raccoons, possums, skunks are out here. So we lived in a camper for the first 3 months of the renovation.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I should have mentioned that. So we also allowed a horse farmer to have his horses here. So he used the property for that. And so we just spent really the first year during the renovation of just figuring out, what animals do we want? Like, do we want our animals? Do we want other people and other animals? We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. So we were left with, I think, 1 or 2 chickens. One of them we still have today.
Okay.
One made it.
Sweet Ray Ray.
One chicken, poor chicken.
But ultimately, yeah, the first, even after the renovation, our renovation wasn't done. I mean, we had so many things, electrical issues, plumbing issues, roofing issues, that we had to get to a point and say, hey, we're going to move in and we're just going to spend our extra time after work and weekends and all that, just knocking that out. So luckily we found a good school 3 minutes away for our kids, which gave us a little bit more bandwidth. Still during that COVID time, so we had more flexibility throughout the day to knock out a painting project or things like that. So that took, I think, yeah, we moved in July 2021. And I think for about another year, we didn't feel completely settled into, this is our home, this is where we're at. And I think that fall is when we bought 2 cows. And
no way.
Yeah, so we jumped into the livestock management. One of our neighbors has about an acre of land, but he said, if I could use your acreage, I'll show you how to graze it properly and how to be a grass farmer first, and then we can be beef farmers or whatever it is.
Well, that's fascinating the way you said that. So to raise livestock, I didn't think about that, but you're trying to be a grass farmer to raise good grass so that your cows eat good grass. Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
The more grass you have, the more animals you can have, you know.
What would you say are like 3 quick things that go into being a good grass farmer, just like off the top of your head?
I think letting the grass rest. So moving your animals often. I'll show you up there how we move the animals, how quickly we move the animals. You know, our first couple of years, we were moving the animals every day. This, you know, was previously a horse farm for, I don't know, 50, 60 years, to where there was not a blade of grass that got taller than, you know, 5-6 inches, because there were 16, 17 horses on the property, constantly eating. In the winter, they didn't have anything, you know, stored away. There was no fescue, so they went to hay type of thing. So a lot of this, you know, if you watch documentaries like The Biggest Little Farm, you'll see it takes 6, 7, 8 years just to get the soil back to where it needs to be.
Wow.
So that's one point. Yeah. Roots So Deep is a good documentary as well, of just talking about how to not overdo it. You know, right now we have 1 calf, we have 2 lambs, and so how to not overdo it in our other commitments, but also for the grass and what it needs right now. So.
Okay, wow. I did not realize it takes that long to kind of rehabilitate the soil. That's crazy. Okay. So you are still in that process then?
Yeah, we're in year 4 or 5. We've been here for 5 years, but I think it took about a year until we got the livestock.
Today's sponsor is my family's company, All Good Elderberry Co. We make our elderberry syrup unlike most of the competitors. We use only fresh, cold-pressed North American elderberries grown on a family farm in central Indiana by farmers that we actually know by name. There's not a lot of elderberry syrup producers out there who can say that. We take that cold pressed juice and we blend it with things like organic mullein herb, and we make a tea that we put into our syrup. We put Ceylon cinnamon, Ceylon cloves, lemon juice, agave syrup, and it's very lightly sweetened. It's not super rich and sweet like most of the other syrups. So you're not actually getting a sugar bomb, but you're getting the elderberry anthocyanins that are actually good for you. And if you want to know a little trick about how to tell good elderberry, fresh elderberry syrup from ones that are made with dried European elderberries, look at the top of the bottle, give it a little shake, and if it looks a deep reddish purple, that's how you know you got the good stuff. It's small batch, intentional, and made the way you'd hope a family would make it, with care and without shortcuts. If you'd like to support our family and our small business and stock your home with something good, please visit us at www.allgoodelderberry.com to get you a bottle today. And if you go to the link in the description below, you'll actually get 15% off your first bottle. Okay, so now as we're heading over to check out your chicken area, I'm curious, like, in those early stages, when y'all, we're living in the camper, you're rehabbing the house, you're figuring everything out, I imagine you haven't started reaping the benefits of this lifestyle at that point. Was it a really trying time as a family? Was it the opposite? Did it actually cause you guys to grow closer together? Like, what can someone expect if they're kind of going through a similar thing? Do they need to be ready for intense challenge, or is it kind of the opposite, unexpected?
I think it just depends on your renovation, your pace, your lifestyle, things like that. I think for us, we were young. It took a long time. We were young ourselves with young kids, and it took us a long time to get to the point where we are now. A lot of that, I would say, our number one advantage or help was from therapy. And so,
okay,
getting a good therapist that could kind of guide us through where we were at in our marriage, where we were at as parents, what kind of our next step needed to be, what, in the renovation, the conversations we would have to have with our general contractors, and even just navigating through therapy after my job layoff. I was getting really excited about starting the market store right away. And I think Rachel wasn't ready for that just yet. And so just kind of having a third party to see both sides and talk it through, I think helped a lot. But for sure, when you're in I don't know how big it was, 20 square foot camper for months at a time, it's not comfortable. You start getting sick of each other. I think my home office was there. Rachel's home office was there.
Oh, goodness.
Rachel does graphic design.
Okay.
And so for me, doing the conference calls, Zoom team calls left and right, she didn't want to hear those conversations. And so, yeah, I think through therapy, I don't know what else you would say helped a lot during that time, but
it just also sucked,
Yeah.
It wasn't perfect all the time. It was hard, but we made it.
I imagine. Yeah, I imagine that kind of, confined spaces, high tension can make things tough, but no, it's really cool, that you said it's no shame in getting help, kind of figuring out how to communicate through things and making sure your other half understands what you're going through and vice versa. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it took a long time, but if you're willing to work at it, if you're willing to work at anything, then I think you can get through it. So
nice.
We just have a good sense of humor. I think that saved a lot of hardship at the end of the day.
Humor
can laugh together a lot.
Humor can lighten up the tensest of situations. You got to laugh at life, It's funny. It's a comedy. It's like, do you look at life as a grand comedy or a grand tragedy?
Exactly.
Guys, if you hear us breathing heavy, we're hiking up this hill right now, so
making you work for this video.
Forgive us.
All right, we've arrived at the chickens.
Okay, so tell us about the chickens now that they're not under constant threat of annihilation.
Yeah, so we've gotten in a good place with the chickens. The dogs being older have helped, so they're not trying to play with every chicken. I think this is our 6th or 7th coop that we've gone through. We've learned a ton. So we have a rolling nest box that just keeps your eggs clean.
Oh, whoa.
Keeps your eggs from getting pecked at or cracked. So this is, we can go around the other side.
Okay.
This is slightly at a incline to where all the eggs roll back once they lay. So you're not getting the poop on it. You're not getting, if it's a muddy day, you're not getting mud, or they're not able to peck at it if they're hungry, type of thing.
I see. So as soon as it drops, it rolls back into your like collection area.
Exactly, and they can't access it. So part of the rotational grazing for them, the chickens, is we move this coop every day. So they free range, but at night I think is when they poop. A majority of their day is, or a majority of the pooping comes at night. So spreading that manure evenly
throughout the whole field
is kind of our goal. And so we'll try to mow like bush hog at a high level once a year. So we'll probably do that at the end of the month once the animals have grazed through this side of the property. But you can see this hasn't been grazed for probably 30, 45 days. So a lot of fescue to your right is coming in. With so much else going on, how do I not spend every morning out here? How do I not spend, so much time giving them more feed, giving them more water? And so we have 2 5-gallon buckets for their feed, 2 5-gallon buckets that are gravity fed for their water.
Oh, okay.
And so it ends up being every 5 or 6 days, I really have to spend more time than just moving the coop.
So normal daily basis, you literally just pop out here in the morning, scoot the coop over 10, 20 feet.
Yeah, just move it 8 to 10 feet so that when I'm getting eggs, I'm not sitting into, yesterday's manure.
Sure.
And that's it.
And then once a week, just refilling their food and water.
Yeah, that's it.
That's not bad.
And then I don't have to come back now that the dogs are old enough. I don't have to come back and close the coop each night. I don't have to mess with the automatic door openers and all that. So the sheep are up there with the baby calf, so I'll introduce you to them.
I'm curious too now, as we kind of walk further up here towards the livestock. So you're a few years into this, and you kind of have your house finished now, right? And the farm store going. What is life like now? Are you still working a W-2, or is this fully supporting you guys? Kind of where is that at this point?
I think the farm, I call it a farm. It's more of a homestead, small homestead. And so I think ultimately this is for my own fulfillment, like for our family.
Okay.
We have 30 chickens, so we do sell some eggs at the store. The sheep and the calf are really just so we can continue to rotationally graze and, get manure out there. And so I don't have to, bush hog all the time.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the reasoning. But no, still on the W-2. I don't have a good timeline for when our other ventures that we'll talk about later will kind of replace that. But it's a flexible one to where I don't have to work, 9 to 5 plus. And spent all my time on that. So I do have time to come out, move the animals, be with the kids, make lunch type of thing. And then now that we've done the school and we've done the market store kind of goes hand in hand with that, with the farm. And so I want to expand the farm and then slowly stop the corporate side of things.
Okay.
So we're getting there. It might be a year or two. When it feels right, it'll feel right.
Sure.
So the farm school also goes hand in hand with the farm. So we've got some eggs incubating, soon to be chickens in there. So the kids love to see that. We've got some meat chickens I'll show you over there where they get to, hold them at a day old or 3 days old. And then 8 weeks later, they see, hey, this is a 6, 7, 8 pound chicken where this is where my food comes from. Like this is good food. They're fed organic feed. They're moved every day, sometimes twice a day, and they're living a great life out here on the farm. And just, I say that goes hand in hand with both what we're doing outside of just this homestead.
Okay, very cool. And since you guys have the kind of farm homestead thing going on, how much of your food grocery bill kind of situation have you been able to replace through this? Like, are you, I'm guessing you probably don't buy very many eggs from the grocery store. What other kind of things,
It's been years since we've bought eggs. I mean, even when things slow down, like what we've wanted to create with the school, with this farm, with the farm store is community. And so when we're out of eggs, when our layers are molting or for whatever reason not laying, we call on neighbors, we call on friends, we say, hey, can we trade? Can we, help me out? Because that's just what our community is here for. As far as the percentage, I mean, honestly, Rachel has her garden, but maybe 5-10%
Okay.
is from the farm. A lot of it is from local farms and that are, bartering with us for everything else that we do provide. But it's that dream that that people had of like, I'm going to be self-sustainable. It's not really realistic, and it really just shuts out community.
Okay.
So,
And that's actually a funny point you bring that up, is like, like we have so much division in the country today. And like a lot of that I feel like is because of, the US's mantra has been now for so long, radical individualism. It's like just the most important thing is you and your self-expression. And then it's like to the detriment of every other thing, and it's like the base unit of society is the individual now, whereas like for thousands of years before it was the family.
Yeah.
And so, as people try to get back into this lifestyle, like you said, you kind of find it's like being completely self-sustainable is kind of not realistic, but I think it was probably always not super realistic.
Right.
Like even before we had the Industrial Revolution, is like, that's why there were villages.
Right.
It's like somebody grew corn, somebody grew this, somebody had cattle, and you just trade and you know your neighbors, and it like creates a community. And then I think by nature, just kind of like helps people be more accountable to one another, because you don't want to be the one that's causing trouble. If if you depend on your neighbors for like, you're gonna be like, hey, let's get along, let's figure out how to work through our differences and be friends.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we live in a world that, there's also so much pressure on yourself if you don't know how to butcher an animal and, grow lettuce at the same time, and be able to provide this whole dish of everything that you grew from your farm. So we got over that pretty quickly and just realized like, look, we have jobs, we have other things that we can provide, but we want to use this land for grazing livestock right now, and not just for produce and providing everything else. So.
Absolutely. What is your grand vision? Like, what is the telos of this project 10, 20, 30 years from now?
Yeah, potentially even less. I mean, what has worked for us is just moving slowly and just seeing what's worked for us, what's worked for, our marriage, for our kids, and going from there. And so I would say 2 to 3 years from now, I'd love to have another 200 chickens. I'd love to provide our whole community. I say community, but what we're selling at the store, I'd love to provide maybe half of those eggs. As far as livestock goes, I'll probably keep with the same amount. I'll get more ducks, probably 30 to 50 ducks, expand the farm that way. And then maybe in the next 2 years or so, leave the corporate side and just be on the farm, working, still managing inventory for the farm store. I think, going back to the community side, I think it's also allowing people to help and learn from this of why we do what we do. Learn why, our grass might be the most, not be the most aesthetic looking golf course type of property, but, how our animals are healthy, how we don't have to treat them, every single week, every single month. Because of how we manage them. Yeah, I think that's ultimately it. I mean, there's different seasons of life. We want to be able to provide that in our community. And so with the school, we have different people coming in that are in different seasons of life. Same thing with the farm market. What we've loved seeing, we've only had the market for 2 months, is people coming in and saying, hey, I know you, I've seen you around, and, talking for 10, to 30 minutes of just connecting with each other. So I think I'm proud that we've created that. And I think, those are the good seasons. I think there's hard seasons. We delivered a care package to one of our customers that needs help right now. And I think it's cool to see, flower farmers, orchards, like all coming together and saying, hey, what can we do, to help this family type of thing.
That's really cool. I think that's probably a part, like, you're hitting all over it and we're talking about it. That's part I feel like that's just most forgotten about pursuing. Everybody just does it for the lifestyle, but, wants to pursue it for the lifestyle. But the community, I feel like, is just a part that's forgotten or not really thought about as much that adds a lot of meaning. Because I mean, imagine if you had a fully operational homestead where you're able to support yourself, but you had nobody to share it with. That doesn't, for me at least, that doesn't sound that fulfilling. Versus if you're able to produce 20% of your needs, but then you have a whole community you've created around this vision and this lifestyle.
Exactly.
And now y'all just communicate and, share ideas and even like in the future, push for local legislation, things that kind of make the lifestyle more approachable for new people.
Absolutely. I love that.
That's really cool.
So yeah, this is it. These are the sheep. This is Ophelia,
right.
the cow.
Is this live?
Close. No.
Okay.
Yes.
Just making sure.
I was like, your video is live, I hope. You can go in if you want. I'll open this up.
Okay, sweet.
If you want to pet a cow today.
I would love to pet a cow. Who doesn't want to pet a little adolescent cow?
So this is Ophelia. She was born in July.
Hello, Ophelia.
She's
Hi.
a sweet girl.
Oh, man.
So we decided late last year that with everything we had committed to, we needed to stop the animal, just take a break. So we decided we'd take a year off. Our neighbor Chadwick reached out, I think 6-7 months in, and said, "Hey, we've got a baby calf. She's 3 days old. The farmer's giving her away. What do you want to do?" I know we said we'd take a year off. She'll need a buddy, so we got her 2 little buddies, and they were able to bottle feed her for the first 2-3 months, and then we were able to bring her here to start grazing grass.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we'll do with her. She might just, I think kind of the vision you were asking about too is I want to create more agritourism of people coming to the farm. We've already seen that a lot lately of, hey, it's Saturday morning, you're grabbing a coffee, but you're also coming out here to see the dogs, at work, you're here to see the calf grazing with the sheep type of thing and cohabitating. And my longer term vision is, we can graze pigs and cows and sheep and turkeys and chickens all at the same time type of thing. And so, yeah, we'll get there. I mean, I think we're very much creative people and learning to be patient people, and just realizing where we've come from these last 5 years and where we'll go these next 5. So I'm excited to see where it'll be.
So you got 1 baby cow and 2 sheep. Is that the extent of the livestock right now, plus the chickens?
That's the extent. Every year it's looked different. So I mentioned that first year we had 2 calves. We learned the rotational grazing and learned how to set up paddocks, learn how to, have 600 feet of water hoses to get them water at all times.
Okay.
Learn how to heat up that water when it freezes type of thing. And then the next year we went to 4 sheep or 4 lambs and then 3 cows. Those cows, I don't know if you can see the mountains back there. Those cows went to that mountain the very first night we got them.
Did they really?
Wow. So we were calling up Paris Mountain State Park saying, "Hey,
some cattle
do you
loose.
see any cattle? They might look like bear, but
That's hilarious.
so yeah, learn lessons there. But that's another example of just seeing the community come together. And we had, I think, 12 people kind of forming a C shape around the cows just to kind of push them back here. We finally got them back onto the property. And then, yeah, we've done turkeys. The next year we did 7 lambs that turned into 12 lambs.
Oh, wow.
And then we did 3 cows, 4 cows. So we kept expanding. And I think, yeah, we're in a season of, we still want to do this, but we can't do it at a bigger scale. We had 9 or 10 pigs at that time. When they get out and you are doing the corporate job at the same time, it's hard to herd some 250, 300-pound pigs back into
while you're trying to be on a Zoom meeting for work.
Yeah. muting as I'm pushing some pigs in.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I feel like you've shared a good bit with us about the lifestyle. I guess one of my big questions for you is, has it been worth it? If you could go back, would you start the process again? Has it been harder than expected, more rewarding than expected, or less of those things than expected?
I think it's been a lot harder than we expected. I think it's come with many challenges. Just getting the approval for the farm store. based on this conversation, it might seem like it took 2-3 months, but it took 2 years. The whole vision and everything took, 2 to 3 years. And so I think it took a lot of work that I didn't know we had in us, but a lot of it is that grit that you have to have of like, hey, I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. just to enter some inventory SKUs in and, take some pictures. Rachel's doing a lot of the marketing now. I think without, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said, hey, this is my strength and this is your strength. Let's put it together. And so it's just taken time to be like, man, this wouldn't be successful. This couldn't have happened without her expertise in knowing what a good picture looks like, what a good, video looks like. And then on my side, knowing how to network and how to contact these farms or these small businesses, similar to yourself, and just manage inventory well. Also listening to customers and seeing like, okay, a majority of you are gluten-free or gluten-sensitive. Like, let's move towards a lot more or gluten-free friendly type of products. So I think it's come with a ton of challenges. A lot of it was from our county system. I think they would benefit more if we had sold this to a developer. And fighting that was the hardest thing of turning this into more of a mercantile place or an agricultural place. Even took months, took me, going up in front of county council members and and board members just to give my case of what we're trying to do here.
Did you have to rezone any of the property for that?
We rezoned. Yeah, that's sort of the path. Is the first thing we did was rezone. That took about 6 months. So we rezoned from residential to agricultural. And then from there, we had to work on getting the barn itself. Now that it was agricultural, we could have a farm stand, we could do education type things, but we had to get that developed isn't the word, but changed around to be more of commercial use.
I see. So it was residential use, and then you had to get it designated commercial.
Even though it was then agriculturally zoned, yeah, we had to get it.
That's probably what gave you the hardest fight, huh?
That was a big deal. That was probably 1.5 years. We put thousands into it. And then they would come back and say, sorry, we had you pull the wrong permit. We need your bathroom 2 inches wider, to be ADA compliant. We need you to have a, this and that. And so a lot of it was like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Trying to start this. I mean, I don't know anyone else that started something similar to this. So it's not like I could go to them and say, how did you do it? The zoning for agricultural is new. So some people in the county are for it, some people are against it.
I always find it funny because right across the road that we're on, you can do whatever you want over there. It's completely unzoned. So we were wow, we were 10 feet in the wrong direction.
That's crazy.
We had to jump through all these hoops, and we
because you were originally zoned. You had a zoning designation starting out, and then you had to change it. Versus over there, it's unzoned.
Yeah, it's unzoned.
Oh,
just across the street. So yeah, but it felt good to make sure we're doing it all right and get it all checked into.
That's a good tip for anybody watching. Like if you're about to purchase land, right, to go on to the local county, county map system and see, does your property that you're looking at, does it have zoning or, unzoned, and what it's going to take to do what you want to do? Because that can, you were able to work through it, but, that can shut people down. There could be situations where they just deny you.
Even with the farm, if my sheep, which they do, get into the neighbor's yard, the neighbor could have complained and said, hey, this is a residence. I bought this place to have my home and have the
be
peace.
Retired or whatever.
Now I've got a whole flock of sheep running into my yard. And if we weren't ag zone, you can be fined. You can be asked, fined or asked to sell your animals.
That's crazy. All right, guys. So that is pretty much what they have going on here at Piney Mountain. They've been super generous to kind of show us the whole homestead and kind of their whole story from beginning to end. But I want you guys to stick around, and at the end of this video, there'll be a little box that pops up in the top right corner where we're gonna actually dig into the whole farm store operation and what all went into that and kind of how that whole operation works. So make sure you stick around, click that link and go and watch that one. And then, Matt, Rachel, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
I really appreciate it. Awesome. And appreciate y'all's generosity and the whole vision y'all are trying to make happen here in Travelers Rest. And I'm happy to be a part of it and support it in any way possible. So how can people online support and just be a part of what you guys have going on here if they're interested?
I think our website's best, pineymountainfarm.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram as well, but if you want to learn more about the school or learn more about the market store, everything's on there.
Awesome. pineymountainfarm.com.
That's it.
There's the name up there, Piney Mountain. So check it out. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Riley.
Till next time.